I hate my job. I truly hate my job. Every day I show up for work just like I did this morning. And today I killed 17 kittens, 8 puppies, 4 dogs, 6 cats. And today was a light day. I'm the euthanizer for the Allen County ASPCA. It's my job to show up for work and go in and look at the cages that are there for the animals that have been selected that are going to lose their life that day. And so I take each one of them and I cradle them in my arms and I pet them and I talk to them as I'm preparing the needle. And while I'm holding them, I slip the needle in and inject the life-taking fluid. And then I continue to stroke them and hold them and talk to them until their very last breath. I hate my job. But I wouldn't let somebody else do it because they might not do it the way that I do. I hold those animals as I put them down because I want them to know that in this world there was at least one human being who gave a damn about them. I hate my job, and it's your fault. You're responsible for the reproduction of your pets. And when you aren't responsible, then you bring what's left of the litter or the unwanted cats and dogs, and you leave them with me, and eventually I hold them for the last time. It is your fault. And today I want to talk to you about how big this problem is, how simply it can be solved, what you can do to make that happen, and how you can help me to not just stop hating my job, but to actually lose it. But it's your fault that I even have a job. That introduction was given by a young woman from one of my classes several years ago. It's probably one of the top 10 easily of all introductions I've ever heard that were put together by a student. Introductions are important. In a speech, you have basically 3 parts: an introduction, the body, and the conclusion. A lot of us worry that the big worry is, oh, what are we going to say in the body? What are we going to cover? What about the facts, all the sources, all that material? And that's true. Content is a part of it. But let me tell you, 30 seconds. 30 seconds is what you have to get the attention of your audience. 30. And all of that is encompassed in the first minute to minute and a half in the introduction. So today I want to talk to you about the introduction. I want to talk about its importance. We're going to talk about its content and how to put it together. So, important. Absolutely, it's important. It is the very first thing that they hear. A lot of people don't understand in the components of an introduction the things that are truly important. And so they kind of, and the order that it should be done in. And so what they do is they just kind of hope that they're going to just kind of introduce the subject and that's it. And they'll say things like, my name is Roy Neville, and today I want to talk to you about spaying and neutering your pets. And then they go into something. Well, the problem is that they've already lost their audience. When you start like that, it does no good. You start out with saying that you hate your job, and you tell them, like this young woman did, about her job. When you accuse them of it being their fault and you create this dissonance that they feel with that it's, how can it be their fault? And then now they want to know. That's all part of a good introduction. An introduction consists basically of 5 parts. You want to make sure that in the very beginning, it is the attention-getting device that you're going to use. The best ones are personal stories. Then it could be third-party stories where you're telling something about somebody else. And after that, then you go to things like statistics and quotes and all of that, and questions that maybe you might ask the audience. But usually questions are almost the weakest of all attention-getting devices. But it's getting their attention at the beginning is absolutely important. Absolutely. And once you have their attention, the next thing you want to do is you want to tell them, you want to be clear about what it is you're talking about. What is it that you're trying to address? You address that, and once you tell them that, so you have an attention-getting device, which I use for AEG. That's what it is, attention-getting device, and then you want to introduce your topic itself and what we refer to the thesis statement, or the central purpose of it. So the thesis, whatever that might be. Now the thesis statement that I just, in this speech I just mentioned, was obviously, I hate my job. And it's your fault that I even have a job. So you have enter the topic, thesis statement. Then you want to make sure that you tell them why you're the one to talk about it. So you're going to ask them, or you're going to tell them why you are credible. What's your credibility statement? No one's going to listen to you if they don't know why they should be listening to you. Are you an expert in the field? Is it part of your experience, part of your life? It makes a big difference if you say that you were a euthanizer for the ASPCA in a particular area. When you're talking about spaying and neutering pets, it's much different than saying, well, I read about it in a magazine one time and I just really felt bad. You don't want that. So you want to be able to have something where you're related to, so that they look at you and they understand that you're someone who knows about it. It helps your credibility, and they're going to listen differently. Once you get there, then you have to tell them why it's important. What's the relation that they have to this topic? Once they understand that it does apply to them, and so you can't get it to apply to everybody, but you certainly can get it to apply to a majority if you take different approaches in this speech about the pets. Maybe, the fact that they have pets themselves, or that they may get pets, or that they know someone who has them, whatever it might be. But you try to relate the topic to them, so that not only do they know why they should listen to you, but they know why they should care. Because if you've got someone in the audience that says, well, I don't have a pet, so this doesn't really apply to me. I don't even like animals. I'm allergic to them. But they have friends and family who do. And so maybe they will listen for that to have that information there. Once you get through these steps, then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to preview your main points. In other words, you're going to tell them, this is what I'm going to talk to you about. We tell them that because the guidepost that gives them is an idea of how many points are you talking about, what are they going to be, what's the order. And so those are the basics of an introduction. Now, an introduction sets up the entire speech. The introduction is something that when they're listening to you as you're beginning, you get their attention, they understand why it's important, they understand why you're the one that's talking about that. It sets them up to want to know what information is it that you're about to share. You can do certain things with this introduction. Now, I didn't mention things like resource material or research, and you can certainly use that. There may be some, you may have one at your attention-getting device, maybe in fact be a quotation or statistics that you're using. Statistics are pretty big with a lot of people. And when they use those in another class, when we talk about how to use statistics, I'll show you some ways to break it down and to make it so that it's actually applicable to your audience, something that's more understandable or just becomes more personal in how you do that. But those statistics would, of course, require research. So research can be a part of your introduction. But your introduction needs to be fully developed, but not too long. Certainly probably between 15 to 20% of your entire speech would be that. So in a 6 to 7 minute speech, maybe a minute, minute and a half is about enough time. But understand that no matter how long you take for your introduction, short or long, if you don't have the right components, if you don't get their attention, if you don't tell them why they should listen, why it relates to them, if you don't tell them what you're about to talk about, or what your what the thesis of your speech is, what is it you're trying to get them to remember, if you don't do those things, or you leave one of them out, then you've weakened your presentation. That is the importance, the content, and the reason for introductions to be a part of each and every presentation. And I hope you find this helpful.